Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host, Yeukai Kechidori.
Hey, welcome back to another special episode. With me is an outstanding gentleman who is out there smashing it and helping people with their finances. Now, if you have ever wondered how can you take your finances to the next level, or you just want to know the fastest way of sorting your finances, or maybe you've got everything going on, but you just want to streamline your finances. Well, if you have ever had any of those questions, you're in the right place, because Andy Hoffman has over a decade of helping other people do exactly that. In fact, he's gone on to create some amazing stories of how other people have truly turned their lives around and their businesses around through automating their finances. You know, if it works for others, it certainly can work for you. As you know, we often say success leaves clues. And today we're going to be talking about those clues. Andy, thank you so much for joining us here for the first time on the show.
Thank you. It's my absolute pleasure. So delighted to be here.
Incredible. Truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us about finance. Is one of my favorite subjects, because money makes the world go around, doesn't it?
Indeed it does. Absolutely.
And absolutely. If you know how to manage it, a lot of things becomes far much easier. You and I know that the number one stressor in life, other than health, is your money. You get this sorted out. Of course, there will be problems here and there, but you'll be able to arrive at the problems in style. In fact, you'll be able to find people that can help you with money. And you've got a very interesting experience, really. As a very young age, you found yourself discovering why certain people had a certain amount of money and why others didn't. Would you talk to us about that for a moment?
I'd be glad to. So when I first started out in the industry, looking at clients' accounts, you discover very quickly that most people's largest asset, perhaps outside of their home, was their retirement accounts. If it's an employer here in the United States, it's the 401k. People just accumulate money there because, you know what, Yeukai, they make one decision when they go to that new job. They sign on the dotted line, they sign up for these retirement programs, and then the money comes out automatically without them ever having to lift a finger or think about it again. Oftentimes people forget they even have money in these accounts. And so that was very illuminating to me early on.
Incredible. And this was an eye-opener for you, because I remember you and I catching up before we jumped on the recording, that you saw that, when you automate it, in fact, you're touching on a behavior that, if everybody can tap into it, everybody's life in terms of finances will be different. Talk to us about that.
Absolutely. I realized very quickly that, this had just been sitting in my brain, stewing over for years, that people, are developing these assets over here without thinking about it, without working extra hard or putting any more effort in. And these assets are just accumulating. They forget they exist. And I would think, how can we replicate that outside of their retirement accounts? How can we pull those same strategies and copy and paste them over in the rest of their personal life? And so for years, I slowly was developing my own strategy. But the hardest part, to be frank, was the variable income. People that work in corporate America or in the corporate world in general, they're getting a bonus, or maybe they're a salesperson who's getting commissions, or obviously entrepreneurs who, maybe not knowing, what's coming and how much is coming down their way. How can we develop a system to make that easy and maybe even effortless for them to automate their finances?
Yeah, and you have interesting case studies. In fact, two. I hope you can share those two case studies with everybody here. How you have helped others apply the system you've developed, and it changed the trajectory of their lives. Would you share that?
Absolutely. So what's interesting is in the United States, there's a designation called the Certified Financial Planner. It's kind of the gold standard when you're looking for a financial advisor to work with. And I spoke to a young gentleman early on as I was developing this, who he had just kind of gotten that certification. He's fresh with brand new ideas and tons of information, but the Certified Financial Planner designation was really created in the 80s, and they, in my opinion, have not really taken into account all that technology offers us nowadays when it comes to automation. And so I shared with him some of my process, and he, candidly told me that he was working with a therapist because as he's starting up his business as a financial planner, he's seeing their savings slowly go down. And the therapist really said, you've got to stop budgeting. It's stressing you out too much. And that really resonated with me because I've been there. I've tried different budgeting methods, and especially for the entrepreneurs listening, it can be so challenging to manage the money when it's like you're riding the roller coaster. So that was a very eye-opening moment for me that, here he is, the certified financial planner, and he is unaware of these strategies and the importance thereof. And then there was another gentleman, both these guys in the financial services industry, reaching out. The second of which was making $115,000. He had, kind of bonuses and commissions and things like that. He had that under control, but then he left to go to a new job, making about $225,000, $250,000. And he reached out because his base salary had dropped to 85, and he was struggling to manage the difference on a month-to-month basis because he was just putting everything else on a credit card and just, paying it off when he got a quarterly bonus, and just realizing he was overspending. It was very clunky. And I showed him that you can change where you direct deposit your money. And it was like the light bulb went off. His jaw was on the table when we were talking. And it was just very exciting for me to show him that you can liberate your own financial life this way, that you can be in control of when you get paid.
It is amazing because, if people can just automate everything, I can speak for myself, Andy, here. Whenever I find a way to automate anything, it frees me up to be creative and to do other things. But if I'm having to constantly remember, constantly do something, it slows me down, boggles me down. And, I'm a human being. I forget sometimes. I know there are people here like Bill who doesn't forget, but I do forget. So I want I want systems, I want processes, I want automation. And in fact, that's why we have you here to talk about what automation systems have you discovered that actually works, that anybody, business owners or individuals, can actually start using today.
Absolutely. And the beautiful thing is, most of it is available to you right now. There's no fancy silver bullet or one single app that solves all of your problems. It's really just taking a step back and analyzing the framework. So step one for most people is rethinking where you direct deposit all of your income. So if you're a business owner, you've obviously got to keep things in your business accounts legally. We want to make sure that's happening. But as you're paying your salary to yourself, rethink where that goes in your personal financial world. So I would recommend people consider a brokerage account, or even just having a separate checking account that you earmark only for income. You don't pay any bills out of it. And as money is stacking up there, you begin to pay yourself and your bills every other week. Works for most people. You're probably paying a lot of your bills automatically right now, right? We think of all these streaming services that are out there. They don't take a check, right? We pay them automatically every single month, and we don't even think about it, right? And you can do that with probably 99%, if not 100% of your own bills. So why not just automate those and then send yourself a paycheck for your bills every other week? That's a huge part of the process. And then from there, segmenting out the money that you use for everyday spending. So most of us, we're buying groceries every week. We're going out to eat, maybe with our families. My wife and I do toiletries. And so we have a separate bank account. And I'll explain why separate bank accounts are important. But we have this separate bank account for just our joint spending money. So the nice thing is there's a few less decisions that have to be made. We know the bills are automated. We know those are taken care of. We don't have to waste our mental energy on that anymore because it's taken care of. When it comes to going into the grocery store, I check my bank account and I say, okay, great. We had $250 hit, I can go buy the groceries. And if I do extra good at the grocery store, if I'm very, shrewd, then I have that much more money left over to go out to eat with the family. And so there's only real two decisions at play, which is very nice. And so from there, we've got that's 90% of your financial life is taken care of right there. And you can build out different savings accounts to begin saving for some of these longer, short, long, medium-term goals, and then invest the difference as you kind of get your feet under you, as you get used to these new systems. And then I'll just end right here on saying we want the separate bank accounts, because the 2-day transfer that most of those require to go from one bank to the next is like bumpers. They're like guardrails that are keeping us behaviorally in line so that we're not overspending. We don't want to just whip out the credit card every time we want a pizza on a Friday night. We have those guardrails in place that make it easy to have good behavior when we know that we've got clarity with our money.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'll tell you, the first time I discovered the concept you're talking about, I went to T. Half Acres training. It used to be called Millionaire Mind Intensive. And at the time, he was talking about the jar system, where, your money goes into your tithing, some goes into your charity, your education fund, and all that. And once I understood that, I went back to my bank account. I sat down with my bank manager and said, can you help me with that? That's probably about maybe 10, 12 years ago. That was a game changer, Andy, because I now know that in my education fund, say, for example, there is a course or there's a consultant that I need to speak with, I don't have to think about, do I have the money for it? I just go into my education fund in my account, which is a separate one, and I know I've got that, and it's an easy process. Or if I want to invest in a long-term project, for example, looking to buy something else, I've got that long-term planning income or pot, so to speak. So what you're talking about is a game changer for anybody who's looking to start, or anybody who is already there and want to streamline using the latest technology and your discoveries for sure.
Now, thank you for that.
And one of the things that I know for a fact, business owners is like, I love business owners because I'm one of them. It's like they're so busy, they say, I want to do this, I want to do that. Why is it important for a business owner to take time right now and really focus on the subject that we're talking about?
You said it early on in our conversation that, money stress is one of the biggest stressors that we face. It's, at least in our country, the leading cause for divorce as well. And so business owners especially are so good at making money, but oftentimes the books and everything else can fall by the wayside. But luckily, most of it on a day-to-day can be automated. I know I mentioned this early on before the recording. This is a great book that's been helpful to me, Profit First. I'm sure we can leave a link. It's written by an entrepreneur who was going to the accountant and saying, and the accountant said, hey, you had a great year. You made $100,000 of profit. And he said, well, where is it? Over the course of the year, it just gets spent. And you're like, where'd the money go, right? And so I'm sure a lot of people listening have probably experienced that in one time or another. And by having a system to make these decisions for you, that you make the decision once, and then you've got a system in place to kind of implement that on your behalf. So basically the profit first model is you have 5 bank accounts for income, owner's salary, business expenses, et cetera. And then every time, every dollar or pound that goes into these accounts just gets segmented to the right account. And you can use technology and automation to pay your paycheck back into your personal financial world, into that brokerage account, and let the systems in place do the heavy lifting for you so that you're not spending your very expensive dollar per hour solving these, menial problems. Set it up once and let technology do the rest.
Amazing. Talking about technology, is there any tool or particular technology right now that if a business owner is to invest in that, this will be a game changer?
I think, I really think it's the basics. There's a handful that are US specific, like Capital QAPITAL is one that just will round up. And I know that there are UK alternatives that, people can just set up these, again, it's really bank transfers as 90% of what I teach. There's a couple niche things here and there. Sometimes automating your giving can be challenging, but if you've got the right system, the right bank account that allows you to have these multiple sub accounts, or sometimes even a bank that lets you open 5 checking accounts at your bank, makes these things easy. So the nice thing is you're not living and dying by one technological company, right? When we think about redundancy as business owners, we don't want to be fully dependent on one thing, because I know that there's been business bank accounts in the US that I've loved, and with the market being down right now and everything being kind of crazy, they've shut down. So I've had to pivot and find another solution. But the beautiful thing is, with this methodology, you're not dependent on one specific technological silver bullet, for lack of a better.
Love that. In fact, Bill, we will talk about the training that is available, which Andy has put together. So don't go far, don't go away. In fact, later on, we would want you to access that as well. Andy, real quick, a lot of people may be aware of the concepts that we're talking about, really. But not everybody actually jump on it, despite they know that this is a game changer, despite they know that this is what they need to do. In your opinion, and based on how you've helped other people, what can they do to overcome maybe that reluctance, maybe that procrastination, maybe that, I will do it tomorrow? What can they do?
Absolutely. The beautiful thing about this is that you can do this from the comfort of your smartphone. You can be sitting there enjoying your coffee, and you can take a few action steps that will pay dividends in your financial future. So one easy way for people to just dip their toe in this water without me needing to know anything else about their financial life is just open a spending account. And so that's just a checking account, again, at a separate institution. Wherever you're banking, find maybe a local bank or a smaller bank and just set up a checking account. If you're married, get your spouse involved there as well. And just by figuring out what you spend on groceries, going out to eat, and maybe toiletries, and take that number, put in a monthly figure, and say maybe it's £1,000, divide that by 4, and just have £250 go to this account every week. And you can set that up in your bank account right there, probably on your smartphone, with just an easy set of transfers that will happen. And you'll begin to groom yourself to this new behavior and find out how easy it is. There's a behavioral psychologist by the name of Dan Arley here in the US, who he has kind of talked a lot about this concept of the weekly spending is the way to go, because where I live, we get paid every other week. And so I know I've tried to do this with, hey, I've got a few $100s to live on for 2 weeks, and then a weekend goes by and the money mostly gets gone, and I struggle to maintain and not spend the money until, another 10 days maybe. And that's been really tough. So breaking it down to that weekly is a big game changer. So that's really tip number 1. Tip number 2 is, if you've never started saving before, it can feel really overwhelming, and you can probably wrestle with feeling like I should have done more, or I need to do more, or maybe I need to save 500 pounds today. You don't have to do that. Start where you are and start small. Just by opening a savings account, I think a brokerage account is a great place to save. Oftentimes the interest rates are better, and you have access to other, mutual funds and ETFs and investments that you'll want to get to later on anyway. So you might as well open it there. And just by starting small, the barrier to entry now is almost zero. You can put in 10 pounds at a lot of these institutions and just do less than you think you need. There's a great saying that talks about, if you want to start flossing, lower the barrier to success. So floss 1 tooth. And it sounds silly, right? But just start smaller than you think you need to, and you'll naturally do more, versus saying, I've got to do $500 or I'm a failure. That blows up in people's faces all the time. So I think that's the second step. If you're struggling with debt or credit card debt specifically, I think taking that credit card out of your wallet is a great small little life hack that you can do. And secondly, by applying that to your bills instead of using it for spending. Don't keep it in your wallet when you're going to the shops. Don't swipe that credit card if you have a balance. Instead, tie it to your bills, because you can still get the catch back. You can get the, rewards points if that's your thing. Do that instead so that the bills are going to get paid. And then you can automate that process. If you've got debt, just automate the minimum and then make sure and go in and add additional, because we all know that if you're just doing the minimum, it's going to take years and years and years and years and years to get back to zero. So those are 3 big tips to get people started for sure.
Amazing. Absolutely love that. Here we talk about, take time to make this happen, because it is not going to happen if you don't intentionally create some time for you to plan your finances. In my opinion, there is nothing more important than to make sure you have your finances in order, because if you can be great at making money, but it just comes out and goes the other way. You just want to learn on how to keep every penny, and also you maximize it in your return if you can do that. In fact, the journey becomes much easier, much smoother, and you'll be able to contribute far more. For those perhaps who maybe who wants to learn more now from you, where can they find you, Andy?
Absolutely. We've got a special going right now. We've got a course that I put together to teach people kind of all the soup to nuts of how to set up a process like that, to really take you from zero to hero in 7 days. And so that is at automaticmoneyflow.com. So automaticmoneyflow.com. There's a free training that I put together to just help people understand this concept, because we've been so programmed that if you want to be successful with money, you've got a budget. Step 1, you got to get the budget out there. And I know that brings me a lot of stress. And so I'm happy to say there is another way. So we'd love to have you.
There is a better way. We will put a link to that website below this recording so that you can actually access it anytime that you want to do this. Guys, if you want to move ahead, take care of those finances. It's amazing the amount of stress that falls off your shoulders when you know that the bills are taken care of, that everything else is taken care of. You become creative because you don't have to worry about what's going on. And with what Andy's put together here, it gives you that chance, to really, really get on top of that. And if you're already on top of it, you just discover something new that you could add on to it, because we can all learn something important in what we are doing here. And we're coming toward the end of our time here together now. A business owner to another business owner, we are going through somewhat difficult times in business. Well, really, what is keeping you afloat? What are you doing differently?
Absolutely. I think content creation has been really helpful for me. So I'm trying to connect with other people. I think really diversification of efforts, right? So for me as a solopreneur over here, I'm using paid ads. I'm, doing the Facebook ads. I'm also creating content. So just continuing to share my story in an authentic, vulnerable way so that it connects with my target audience so that we can help more people. I think that's been the most effective thing for me as of late.
Amazing. And you're doing a lot of podcasts as well. I notice you.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to. That's absolutely a goal. 52 is the goal for this year, to try to just get this message out there to as many people as I can.
Amazing. Love that indeed. And on a personal note, how do you keep yourself focused, really energized to go after your goals?
Ooh, that's so good. I think proper nutrition and sleep, as well as exercise, are the big 3 for me. I'm trying to get in bed every night at a decent hour. Sometimes it sounds silly to say that about, get a good night's sleep, but I think so many people are working really hard, and sleep can be one of the first thing that goes for people. So getting a great night's rest is really important. And then getting into the gym right first thing in the morning before the life gets crazy. And I know that just adds another layer of patience and focus and clarity for me mentally. The gym is really so much about mental and emotional clarity for me, especially with 2 young kids at the house. I've got a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they keep me really busy. And that gym time really gives me extra patience with the little ones. And then just trying to eat well. I know those things just really help my mental clarity and my energy through the day. And I'm coming off a weekend here and didn't eat so good over the weekend. And so I noticed the drop in energy because of that. So those are kind of the big, I mean, they're very, very basic, nothing crazy, but I'm just trying to take care of me so I can take care of other people.
Amazing. I love that. You take care of me so I can take care of other people. Truly, this is what it's about. As a business owner, you need to take care of yourself. If you don't, you know who's going to take care of the business. So I really appreciate those words that you've just shared with us indeed. And Bill, if you've got any question, you know where we are, please send us an email or just send us a message so that we will be able to help you. And also the link below here, in fact, I'll give you that again. If you just go straight to automaticmoneyflow.com, you'll be able to find out how you too can learn the strategies that are working now. Not that used to work, 20 years ago in a different system, but something that is working today. So just go ahead and click the link below. I'll be delighted that you are part of that. Now, some of you are saying, are you an affiliate? Yes, I am an affiliate to the program. The reason we do that is so that you too can benefit and it create a win-win program right there. Andy, this has been wonderful catching up with you and hearing what you've got to say around money management.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's my absolute pleasure to speak with you. Thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you. Truly appreciate you indeed. And we certainly would love to have you back at some point to talk about other aspects of money, whenever time permits for you. But we're truly grateful for your generosity today.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
Incredible. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, live well, live with passion. Know that the best is truly yet to come. Goodbye for now.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yeukai.businessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.